You can't secret shop a place. You have to secret shop a place with a woman because they see things totally different than men. So, like, I won't ask for directions, she will. See, things like that. So we've had a really good time. We've been here since last week. And I'm just going to dig right into this. And this is what we call an assessment. By the way, if you see anything here, feel free to take pictures of it. I am actually going to give Amy this physical presentation when we're done. She'll have it. We're also recording it back there. And we're also presenting a little bit over Zoom for those who couldn't attend. But first of all, it's so great to be in front of actual live people. Finally. So with this whole assessment thing, we've been secret shopping you. Amy did not tell us anything. We just said, don't tell us anything. We're coming here like any first-time visitor. So there's no interviews, no heads up, no, I want you to talk about this. I want to make sure you saw this, see this. There's no input on things to see, do, places to stay, none of that. And just so you understand, we have done this a lot. We've actually secret shopped more than 2,200 communities in 45 states, all across Canada, Western Europe, Scandinavia, you name it. And in Wisconsin in particular, we've worked in probably about 60 to 70 cities and towns, including all of these you see. I didn't list everyone in Door County, but all of these. So we've been around the state a lot. I've keynoted at the Governor's Conference on Tourism in Wisconsin probably 3 or 4 times. And so it was finally, it's, oh my gosh, Oshkosh! Because all these years I've been saying, I can't wait till we can do Oshkosh. I've been to the EAA Museum before, but that was it. I really didn't know much about Oshkosh. But we've worked, in Neenah, right up the road, all the Fox cities, down south in Racine and that whole area. And so this has been really fun. It's been a treat for us. And as a matter of fact, I have to tell you a little story, is that this was partially funded by a grant from Wisconsin Tourism. We were supposed to be in Ontario this week. But Canada cannot get its act together, and the border never opened. And so I said, Amy, you ready? She goes, yeah! So we came right here from Sandusky, Ohio. And so where we were working for the last few days. Now, when we do this whole marketing assessment, we look at visibility and how effective was your marketing to close the sale. And could we find stuff about Oshkosh? And how do you stack up? I mean, the Fox Cities, Appleton just built a gazillion-dollar convention center, and they keep investing a lot of money right up the road from you. They're also on Lake Winnebago. They're also on the Fox River. So that's some pretty stiff competition. So one thing that's really cool is this little guide. We each got one of these. As a matter of fact, the one we used was this one. This is brand new as of like today. But this little guide, and I don't say this, you're going to see, I emailed Amy last night, 9:30, and she answered in 5 minutes, and you're not up checking your email this late, are you? But this is one of the better guides we've ever used. So hats off to tourism for doing that. And the difference is, it's not just about advertising, it actually has content, like things you can do for less than $10, the top 3 trails you need to ride. So it was actually useful, and that was really great. So we did that. Then, the main thing I'm going to talk about is what we did when we got here. Look at your signage, your gateways, wayfinding. I'm going to touch on all of these. What was our first impression, overall appeal? Critical mass, I'm going to explain what that means, and that's about downtown. I mean, what are things like parking and public restrooms and information? Could we get it? So what is there to see and do around here? And then cross-selling. What's the customer service like? And so that's what we've been doing. And by the way, this is not just about tourism. We look at this, is this a place I want to live? Is this a place I want to raise a family or retire? And there it is, invest in or bring a business, and then as a leisure visitor. So we got here last weekend, and it was fun being here over a holiday weekend. to see how it was going for you. And everything, first of all, it blew us away. Beautiful. This whole area is just stunningly beautiful. And it was really fun watching the bridges go up and down constantly this weekend. Sorry for you that were trying to drive across any of them. And so we spent a lot of time in downtown. As a matter of fact, we went to Beckett's. We walked the waterfront. We looked at interpretive signage. We went out on both of your lakes here. Just everywhere we went, we just thought this place is stunning. It really kind of blew us away. It exceeded our expectations in what we saw. And so, one thing for you to understand, this entire focus is not about, you should have done this, you should have done that. This is what else could be done in Oshkosh to make it even better. So there's no, we would have done this, or no, none of that. There's none of that. This is what else could we do. And so I have this like in 6 chapters. And here's the first one, and this is wayfinding. We had no problem finding gateways to Oshkosh. And by the way, we thought your gateways were great. They're beautiful. I thought they were well placed. They're well taken care of. I just, everywhere we went, we just loved the gateways. They just looked modern. They looked fresh. They were just a really good introduction to Oshkosh. Better than I've seen in most communities. But we have lots of suggestions, and one is you need and by the way, you're going to see that. There's no recommendations in this. We're going to be here until Friday, and Friday we're going to turn some suggestions into recommendations. The reason these are all suggestions because we never talked to any of you first. So I think it'd be a little presumptuous to come and tell you should do this and this and this and this when we never even talked to you first. So that's why I call these suggestions. But I really think you're part of Winnebago County, and a lot of your attractions, a lot of your amenities, one of the biggest challenges you have is that you're on 2 sides of a freeway, you're on 2 sides of a river, and then trying to connect these together is been kind of problematic for us. As a matter of fact, out of 2,200 assessments, I think we had to use our navigation system more here than we've ever had to use it anywhere. Because downtown's not just Main Street either. There's Ohio Street, and you've got the waterfront, and is it Algoma? You've got all of these boulevards and everything, and it was really challenging for us. And that's that challenge of being divided up like that. And so you'll see that. And so these are the things we had to try to find. And these we got from the visitor guide, and so you do have some wayfinding in downtown Oshkosh. And most of that, I hate to say it, would be a start over, because we tacked on the Menominee Nation Arena, and then we have too many items on the sign. I'll show you that. And some of them just say go that way, and the next thing you know, you're in Minnesota. And they never terminate. And so that was a real challenge. So most of the things on here, we had a real challenge trying to find. And the first rule of wayfinding is you never have more than 7 lines of text on a sign. So that would, if I take Oshkosh, and then we've got the avenue. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rows of lettering here, and you should never use more than 7. And these were hard to see from a distance because they're very compact. I think you should have wider signs and less information. I don't think you need to have a cross street on every single sign. I don't even think you need to have the word Oshkosh. Just put your logo there that you have on all your entry signs, all your gateways. Just less text, the easier it is. Because when somebody sees a wayfinding sign, like this one here, there's no way we'd have to stop and then sit there and read down the list. And yes, Amy. Well, totally, yeah. There you go. So that one there is, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I still don't know what FVTC stands for. What does that stand for? Oh, that's the technical college. Okay. So in that case, I would have probably put, FV Tech, or something like that, just so somebody that's not from here could figure it out. And so that's one of the problems. I mean, here we go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And there's just no way you can read that in 3 seconds. 4 seconds max is how long people have to read a sign. And so we found it very difficult to use these everywhere we went. And so I just think it kind of is a kind of a start over situation. But I think if you did it countywide, so that Oshkosh worked with the county and the other communities in the county, so that we can send people out in the county. You're going to see some of that. But also, when we're on the other side of the freeway, there's no wayfinding over there. You only find the wayfinding when you're in downtown. And so, but if you ask Siri, Siri, take us to downtown. Oh, that phone's going to go off. Siri, takes us to downtown Oshkosh, doesn't know where that is. And it was the same with a lot of the attractions, took us off on other tangents. Even at the University of Wisconsin, the campus here, way too much stuff on the sign. This would be great if you're walking, but if you're in a car, there's no way you can read all of that. And so that was really challenging. So that's one thing, that's probably the most expensive thing in this whole presentation, is you really need to do a county-wide wayfinding system and maybe update some of these, not these, but the ones that are in the city. I love this one out there that says the Wiowash or Weowash State Trail, no arrow where it's at. But then it says County Highway S left and right, and then there's Riff, or however you pronounce it, road in Oshkosh straight ahead. See the straight ahead there? That's a trail. Are we supposed to drive down that trail? I mean, there is no straight ahead. So these are the things that go, what the heck? And it doesn't help you have a good experience. And I also think you should have some pedestrian effect. The Riverwalk. I don't know where the Riverwalk, I imagine it on both sides of the river from Main Street, but then we went over to Dockside, is it Dockside Tavern? Over there, but I don't know if that's part of the Riverwalk. I don't know if anything along the river is the Riverwalk. On both sides of the river, however far down it is. But there's no pedestrian wayfinding even for that. And there's nothing that says, welcome to the Riverwalk. So we just assumed it must be any trails that are along the river both sides. That would be our guess. Beautiful, by the way. We absolutely loved it. But we don't know how far it goes, where it terminates, where it begins. Like this one here I thought was really beautiful, and I can see it going off on the distance, but I don't know where it ends up. And there's no wayfinder. There's no directional signage or anything. And so sometimes we even had a problem getting down to it. So then we went out here to the state recreation trail. This is a Weowash, okay? And it took us 17 miles out of town. And I thought there must be a trail. Is there a trailhead closer in than that? But that's what our navigation said. So we're out there saying we have to drive 17 miles to find a trailhead. Yet I'm sure there's a trailhead here. No signs to it. Never did find it. I have no idea where it terminated or where it starts in Oshkosh. Then we're going out the county road, and this is Lake Winnebago. Am I pronouncing that right? Winnebago. And it says, County Park, turn right. So we turn right, and that's it. And there's residences on both sides that say no parking. I'm going, and really? Is this really a county park? And so these are the kinds of things that, when you're here as a visitor, can get really frustrating. And so we went there, and somebody named Laura, I think it was having a birthday party this weekend, and down there, and it's and it said her birthday party was up here at this neighbor's house, so we thought maybe we should park there and just pretend like part of the party so we can see the park. We didn't, we left. But we should have. They probably would have known, oh, who are you? Oh, just a long-lost relative, you just don't recognize me because for the last year we had COVID. But anyway, Winnebago County Boat Landing, we did find that one out there. And these are all things that are part of the reason to stay in Oshkosh. You have to understand, visitors will come here first, and then we want to do day trips. So this was a nice day trip. It's a beautiful lake out there. We can see people out there. See them in the right there? I don't know, is there a trail out there? I don't know if they're fishing out there, if there's a trail goes, no signage and no information. And so those are the challenges. So first of all, with wayfinding, educate your locals and visitors about what you got and where you have it located. Here's one thing, you know, it delivers a better visitor experience. We're going to stay longer, we'll spend more time here, and it helps mitigate traffic flow. You can send us whichever way you like. It introduces to your brand. Like I've seen the ones in Oshkosh, should have that little wave logo that you have on your gateway should be on the top of signs. Out in the county, it can be something different. Even in other towns that you have in the county, that when you get there, the only thing that changes will be the little logo on the top, so it identifies them. You know, it creates a sense of place that we've arrived. And it eliminates any sign clutter and broken systems, and a lot of yours in the town are broken right now. They just don't really complete the job. And so, here's the big deal. As visitors, if we can't find it, we say one word, next, and we're gone. And that is a huge problem that you don't want to have. And so that is something that this can fix. So here's the deal. Navigation systems are not a substitute. Because if I'm coming here for the first time, and less than 5% of visitors nationally ever stop at a visitor information center. So that means 95% of them are coming here, whether they're visiting friends and family, whatever reason they're coming here, when they see your wayfinding, there are things like it might be a dog park. Well, we wouldn't even know that you had that. We use navigation systems to take us to places we already know exist. So if I said, Siri or Google, you know, if you use an Android and say, take me to Menominee Park and Zoo, that's fine because we know it exists, or the EAA Museum. But you have so many attractions that are absolutely incredible that we wouldn't even know to look for. And so it educates us on what you got. And so there you go. As a matter of fact, the average increase in sales and services for a wayfinding system is 16%. So it's not an expense. Never more than 5 items on a sign. It says 4 items, but some of them are 2 lines. I mean, these are just samples of wayfinding. See, City of Greenville, you know, and so it needs to be simpler, and I think that would be really great for you. Okay, so that was the first one. Now, here's the second problem we had. It's you need to invite us back. And let me explain what that means. One thing I loved about the EAA Museum is everywhere you went, it was like, welcome back, we're open. And so I just thought that museum open all year. You know, everything we saw, there it is, worth the wait, we're back. AirVenture's going to be back this year. I mean, everywhere we went. And one thing that they did really well is even at the museum where there's construction going on, they're letting you know what's happening. You know what? When they do that, now there's a reason to come back because there's changes, they're making improvements, or they're making additions. So that is a welcome back sign that I think is absolutely, so that just says, wow, we got to come back when this is done. Yet there's other places, and I thought this one was great, right downtown, learn more about First Fridays. Right downtown. And I thought, that's good. At least it's a reason if we wanted. See, I wouldn't even know that there were First Fridays if it wasn't for that you had those. But then there are challenges like here. Are there going to be any events in 2021 here at the amphitheater? Does anybody know? I mean, I know this year's kind of upheaval, but there's no reader boards. There's a little reader board behind that tree, and I'll show you that in a second. But there's nothing here. There should be like a reader board that you can see from the convention center. There should be one out on one of the streets that just says upcoming in 2021 or 2022 for next year. Always invite us back. And so I thought even posting anything anywhere would be great. Because this really didn't have, it's great when you take a picture, it was in between frames, but it really didn't have any information. So as a local or a resident, if I know what's coming up sometime this year, it's an invitation to come back. And there was no invitation there that anything's going to happen there this year. You know, over at the Menominee Arena. I mean, they have that, Florida Georgia Live. The challenge we had there were so many of these screens going, and they had so much text on them that I never could really kind of get a calendar of events of anything that's going to happen there this year. But at least, you know, it does show some. And I do have a question for you. This says that there's a casino resort. Is there a resort there? Where is it? Is there Menominee Casino Resort? I know there's one way up by Shawano. Is that what you're talking about? So what is this? What? It says casino resort, verb entrance, verb. So this is just for the arena then. Okay, somehow we thought there was a casino resort here, and there's no lodging, there doesn't seem to be a restaurant. I could not figure it out. And by the way, that casino resort's like 50 miles away from here, isn't it? Okay, so those are the kinds of things that are confusing. I had no clue what that was or what that meant. And by the way, we had a hard time finding the Opera House because we were going up and down Main Street and we weren't heading down the side street. And even if we're over at like New Moon, we can see the building from the backside next to Manila. But the only sign is clear around there. It took us like 2 days to find it. And finally we asked the navigation, where's the Opera House? And it was just, oh, that was it. We were just on the wrong side. But there, it's a beautiful, beautiful building. We were just dumbfounded by how beautiful it was. But once again, and granted, this may be because of COVID, but there was nothing saying, is anything happening this year at the Opera House? Does anybody know? There are some things. No signs, nothing to invite us back. No posters, nothing. There's just nothing there. And so, particularly coming out of COVID, we don't know whether they're going to be open this year or not. And so it's more important now than ever to invite us back. Just say, coming soon. You know, whatever that is. I mean, even downtown, I thought that was great. Because here it says, at least it tells us that there's going to be a social club coming. And so and I don't know how long that's been up there, but it tells us it's an invitation to come back. You know, and then probably this one over here, I'm not too sure. This is where you have the big, what is it, Country Fest or whatever. And there's, private property, no trespassing. It looks like it's been out of business for 20 years. I mean, is it going to happen this year? Or even next year? Does anybody even know? It is happening. There is something happening. How would anybody ever know? And that's visible from the freeway. And so I just thought, man alive. And so that's something that you could do that would be fairly inexpensive to invite us back. I thought for sure your water park would be open on Memorial Day weekend. It's not. When will this be open? Anybody know? June 12th. So here you go. Right there you can put opening June 12th. If I had a black magic marker, I would have gone out there and done it for you. So that's all these things are inexpensive things you can do to invite us back. Now, out at the golf course, is this a private club, so it's private only, or do they offer public play? They do offer public play here. So we found the country club, and we did go there. Is there a restaurant there? Would never know if there's no signs. Is there a clubhouse? Is there a pro shop there? Would never know if there's no signs. If they're open to the public, there's no signs. Are there club and cart rentals? No signs, nothing. You just show up, no information. These are the kinds of things so we assumed, not being from here, that was private only, and that's why there's no signage or nothing that says we're looking for golf floors. We have Clark Club. There's nothing, and there was a lot of that around, and that was really unfortunate. By the way, it looks like a beautiful golf course. I assume it's 18 holes. Okay, and there's carts there, and so I assume they might be for rent. We did see people out there playing golf, so we know that it is operating. And so these are all these questions that you just go, if we don't know, We don't bother to go in and ask. We just leave. And that is what visitors do. And even use locals haven't been. When I said, is it going to be open this year? 1 or 2 hands came up. So if you don't know, think about visitors. So that's number 2. Number 3. This is something different. I want to talk about this. As a matter of fact, we got here via RV. That's why we're staying on the other side of the freeway. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But here's the deal, is RV is the fastest growing tourism trend in the country. And the average age of a person buying an RV is not in their 60s, it's 38. Millennials are buying RVs and saying, this is my house. I can buy a house for 25 grand and take it wherever I want. And so this RV deal is big. One thing that we noticed, and by the way, the Destination Development Association, which has all the videos, there's a whole video on this, and sometime, Amy, you could do a workshop and have everybody come and see this. But the reason I wanted to mention this is this video has all this information. I'm just going to list it for you because I don't want to go into too much time on this. But it was really kind of funny because even in our office, Natalie said, in the 1970s, Neil Diamond had a song called Brother Loves Traveling Salvation Show. Anybody remember that? Oh, you fell for it, named it yourselves? But, so she told me this is Brother Roger's Traveling COVID Recovery Show. So we went from Arizona, which is actually where we live, over to Baton Rouge, and I spoke at a 4-state conference, and then over to North Carolina, and Branson, Missouri, and over to Sandusky, Ohio, and then over here. And we did it in an RV. And the biggest challenge we ran into was by the time we booked in Oshkosh, we couldn't find an RV space. You're full. You have way less than what you... Look at this, it's $114 billion economic impact in just the U.S. 420,000 new RV sales. That's new ones last year. This year, February, they sold 50,000 new units in 1 month. And guess what? Most of them are made not very far away from here, Elkhart, Indiana. And so it is huge. And look at that. They're just, and it's not just because of COVID. COVID just put it on steroids. So by the time we got here, the only place we could find was Las Vegas. And I just went, Osh, Vegas, Palms Resort. I'm going, aren't we in Wisconsin? I couldn't find the palm trees. And actually, the guy that runs it has been very, very nice. And it's been a good host. It's a little close to the freeway. And I don't know how he gets away with the word resort since there are 0 amenities. What's that? And so it just, but we're there because he had a space and it's been full. We looked around at other ones like the Circle R Campground, whose website looks like it came out in 1984, whenever website started. And so, we sent like an email, and that's way beyond their technology, I think. And so, you do have, is it Scholler? Is there Scholler or how? And I thought, if EA wanted to make a ton of money, is that on their property? I would have like a 100-space RV park and open up year-round. Because even where we're staying, there are people there that go to the EA museum. You're way short on supply for RVers, particularly considering where you're located at. I just thought rather than just do this one time a year for 4 or 5 days, you could actually do a year-round money-making proposition there. Right, Sleepy Hollow Farm, here's where we wanted to stay. It's really pretty, it's not that far out, and that looked really, really nice. But booked up solid. We even went in this Hickory Oaks. This is what you got out there. Beautiful. Nicely done. But then when we found the county park, we went, oh my gosh, there's so many acres out there. I just thought, man, if they wanted to make some money, you got lakes out there and fishing and dog runs. You got all of these amenities out there. the county can make a lot of money out there. Even if you just concessionaire it out to somebody to manage, the county got a piece of it. But I just think you're way short on supply when it comes to RV parks. You know, and by the way, talking about wayfinding, even out at the county park, I have no idea where these trails go, how long they are, what they're called. Once again, pedestrian wayfinding. So, and you certainly have your supply of Canadian geese. I think that's the bane of every parks department, right? Yeah. So you know, I mean, it's just, I just thought, wow, that would be a fantastic opportunity out there. And somebody might say, yeah, but we don't want the county or the city to be competing with private sector. Well, you know what? They're doing it all over the country because the money earned just goes right back into your park system. It goes right back into community development. And so I just thought, yeah, a really great way to do that. You got so many assets here. I just thought there was tremendous, tremendous opportunity. We love that out there, by the way. And I think here's Winnebago Conservation Memorial Grove, but I'm not sure if there's trails in Memorial Grove, or if you look at the sign, that's it. I don't know where it is. So what happens is you have place markers, but you don't really finish the sale. You don't tell us, you know, the next 5, there's no interpretive sign that says over the next 5 acres or 10 acres, there's a little trail back there, or it's a protected marshland. There's just no information. And so then across the street even, at the Sunnyview, we did finally find that. By the way, we found all of these things using navigation systems. And if we wouldn't have had this, we probably wouldn't even know that those existed. And that is a major problem. But over the weekend, there was a major equestrian thing going on. And I'm telling you, that place was packed full of trailers and campers and stuff. And I just thought, man, this is a great opportunity. And by the way, I tried to get into the arena park there. I think that, is that what that is, an arena there? And I couldn't get it. It was all fenced off. But there's no signs here of saying any public events. So do any public events ever happen out of Sunnyview? No signs, no reader boards, nothing that says welcome back or come back. And we saw this event, but we assumed it was a closed event, which is probably true, you know, an equestrian event. But beautiful, beautiful area. So one of the things we have for Amy's list is actually doing an RVer's guide to Oshkosh and Lake Winnebago, at least your portion of Lake Winnebago. And what should be included on it is all this stuff. Because as an RVer, where do we get propane? Where do we get drinking water? You know, as a matter of fact, we're hooked up to city tap water, but most RVers will go into Walmart where they have those drinking Primo water, drinking machines, or glacier water. And all of those things we're looking for. And RVers, 80% travel with pets. Where's the dog run? I didn't put that up at dog park. See what I mean? And the other thing is RVers, their top activity RVers is fishing, hiking, and biking. So these are things you can barter to them. Now, I'm not taking anything away from hotels. We always want to put heads in beds. That's the phrase in tourism. This just gives you another pot of people that have a lot of money to spend. Here's the difference. As RVers, we ate in your restaurants. Even as RVers, we ate in your restaurants while we were here. But RVers are a little different than most tourists that stay in a hotel where they eat every meal in a restaurant. The RVers are shopping in grocery stores. They're shopping, they're at your gas stations, they're at your Walmarts. RVers shop where you shop. So to the public, it doesn't look like you're seeing any tourism spending, but you are. It's just not in the traditional tourism spaces. So there's that one. You ready for the next one? I'd love to see you create what we call trails. These are driving trails. And the first one I would do would be a libations loop. Or a distillery, brewery, and winery trail. And I mean, because even out here, bare bones, I mean, I thought we were driving all over downtown trying to find it. And then we find out it's like 10 miles, I don't know how far out it is. And by the way, we found it by accident when we were just driving around out in the county. But I just thought, man, you could do a really cool trail. I mean, that place is amazing. You're setting up with live music. I mean, it's Memorial Day weekend. Everywhere we went, you know, there's Fifth Ward Brewing. We did find that. What else? We had Fox River, of course, which, by the way, we think is the class act of all of Oshkosh. I'm going to tell you more about that in a minute. But, I mean, even out at the winery, I mean, Vines and Rushes, what a great place. You know, they have entertainment and music and stuff out there. And I just thought that would be really cool. Hendrix, we didn't know where it was. And so we didn't get a chance to go there. So I had to just grab a photo of them. So that was one. We ran out of time. There was so much. But they're obviously something that you market. I mean, even right here, I thought this was really cool. And I don't know if this is a brewery or if they're just a poorhouse. You know, when I talk about poor, I mean P-O-U-R, like it says right there. But I thought that was really awesome. But I thought you could do a whole loop on these. So that would be one. And what you would do is you would create a brochure that would open up, you know, maybe this size. It would actually have a map and would show, and then would talk about each one of them. And that could be cooperative, where they actually say, well, we're going to pay for our piece of this. And you could do this whole libations loop with a warning that says, you know, if you're going to go do the loop, don't do it all in one day. We don't want people out there. By the time they get done, they're, intoxicated. So, but I think that would be really cool to do, particularly since you have a distillery, you have a winery. You just have the one winery, and you've got several brews. You know, I just thought it'd be really cool. And what's cool about this is some of it's in downtown and some of it's out in the country. So I thought that would be really a cool thing to do. You know, I mean, we can always go downtown, Milwaukee, the beer capital of the world, but that's all just urban, and this gets you to spread out. And this county is beautiful. And so I would love to see you do a farm to table, because everywhere we went, we kept seeing, like I saw a sign for farmer's wife shop. I'm trying to think of, we kept going by out in the county, all these little farms that are open to the public. I mean, I'm not sure when they're open to the public, but I think if you put together a trail, like Union Star Cheese Factory, I think if you put together a trail and then work with them and say, what days will you be consistently open? So if we did the trail, you know, and then, so you might say, well, we're going to be open every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday until like 4, something like that. And then I think it'd be awesome. One thing I love about Oshkosh is that you can drive 5 minutes any direction to be in the country. I couldn't do that in Appleton. You know, I can't really do it in Neenah. You know, as beautiful it is, you know, and so I just thought for you, that's really a cool thing, that you're so close to being out in the country that way. So I would do that, be a second one you could do. And you could put these on your website, you could download them, people could download, print them out. And then the third one I would do would be a history tour. You know, you've got all of these, and I'm probably missing some. So what you're seeing in this presentation, things we either read about, we looked up, or we knew existed somehow. And so I want to show you one example. Oh, and I forgot to bring a copy of this. We're working in Olympia, Washington, which is about an hour and a half south of Seattle. And in that area, they have 11 museums. Now, one of them is the house Bing Crosby was born in. How many of you would drive an hour and a half to see that house? One. Thank you very much. That was very nice. But here's the point. Here's the point. Okay? And by the way, you probably do it once and then been there, done it. But what they did is how do you go there and do just one? So they thought, but if we can include, here it is, all of these, and this is, there it is, there's a historical museum, there's the Bigelow House Museum, there's a Lewis County Historical Museum, here's Washington State Capitol Museum, I mean, veterans, there's the Crosby House right there. But you know what they did? They created one brochure, and each museum paid for their panel. Now, if you had 11 museums and you were into history, now, said maybe more of you would say, yeah, I would do that. But I probably wouldn't drive an hour and a half for one house, you know, that takes 20 minutes to go through. What's really cool about this is, look at what happened. They tripled the number of visitors while cutting their collective marketing odds by cost by 2/3. Tripled the number of visitors just by combining them. And that was in 2 colors, just black and brown, were the only 2 colors that was printed in. Just an amazing thing that you could do. That would be a history trail. And you can do, I'd probably do a little bigger map, so it's not just a fold-out brochure, just so they can see how you can do the whole loop. And you can start anywhere on that loop or on that trail. So there you go. Now, here's the thing I really want you to do. I would like you to create a brochure. So this is the fourth one. So we're going to do 3 trails and then the very best of Oshkosh. Here's what you need to know is that People, USA Today, Condé Nast Traveler, Travel and Leisure Magazine, New York Times, everybody does best of. Top 3 trails, top 3 wineries, top 5, top 3, top 5, top 7. People love that stuff. And I was like, the best thing you can do is promote the very best of Oshkosh. But you know what happened is politics gets in the way. Well, you promoted them, you didn't promote me, and I think I'm as good as them. Now that would never happen in Oshkosh. Yeah, I didn't think so. Okay. So, we have taken the liberty of going ahead and defining it for you. Here you go. Right there, create the very best of Oshkosh track brochure. There's the EA. But let me give you an example. This is done over in Michigan, Alpena, Michigan. Population 10,000. It's across Michigan from Traverse City. And we told them to do the very best of Alpena. So there it is, 14 of the very best hidden gems. Selecting Alpena's restaurant. Notice my name is on there. They wanted me to be the heavy. And I didn't mind. I said, hey, if it takes me to be the heavy, no problem. But then what they did is they did this. There's 200 shipwrecks out there. They're on Thunder Bay. How cute is that? A local shop. And I'm going to give you even criteria. Each one of these people were vetted, and they were asked if they want. This is not an advertising piece. They asked, do you want to participate? They each paid $400 for their panel. This is the very best of Alpena, this little town. Now, when they did this, Art in the Loft, the Besser Museum did not have $400, but it's a really great little museum. There was enough from everybody else to cover them. And so they did this brochure. And it's just a rack brochure, but they did a really cool thing with this. Is they put it in a number. First of all, they have 30,000 people live in the whole county. 10,000 in Alpena. But they have about 10,000 households. They printed 20,000. They mailed 10,000. They mailed one to every household in the county. In a number 10 envelope, and with the number 10 envelope was a card that said basically this. The number 1 reason people travel is to visit friends and family. We hope you will hang on to this brochure so that when friends and family visit you, you will share with them the very best of what Alpena has to offer. Because we believe that every dining room table should be a concierge desk. Within days, people were coming downtown into a business and saying, I got this brochure in the mail. How long have you been here? And the merchant would go, 10 years. Right? I mean, how many of your locals are going downtown Main Street? And by the way, one thing about this, before visitors travel somewhere, they use brochures 32% of the time. But once they arrive, it jumps up to 81%. Even more on the internet. This is Wausau's. So Wausau did one of these. I mean, and it's pretty nice what they did. I mean, they did the very best of it. And by the way, you've got to promote your anchor tenants. Anchor tenants make you worth a special trip. And so, to get through the politics, I'm actually going to show you yours. And then we may have missed one or two. But I just want to show you, this is the look and feel of what they did in Wausau. It was very, very successful. Now, one thing happened in Alpena. They said that to every single house. And then at first somebody complained, let me get to the last one there. Somebody complained and said that same thing about, well, I think I'm just as good as them. But they used criteria for this. But you know what happened afterwards? They said that was the best $400 I never spent because I didn't realize when they went into my neighbor's place, they also came into mine. I mean, millions of people people go to Orlando for Disney World. And I asked whole audiences, would you go to Orlando if Disney World wasn't there? And nobody will raise their hands. I said, you just insulted 170 attractions. And they all have no problem jumping on the coattails of Disney, Universal Studios, SeaWorld, and Wild Kingdom, and all the other ones. So here's how you get past this. You can have sample criteria that says they must be open year-round, at least 8 months. You know, I'm hoping. I mean, they must be open 6 days a week. Typically want to be closed like on a Monday. You know, must be highly regarded by somebody other than themselves. That's a key one. 80% plus positive reviews on TripAdvisor, Yelp, Google reviews. You name it. And then they must have good curb appeal. Must be open till at least 7. For you, I'd say at least 6. And then it must be unique to you in this area. So we're not going to put Subway on there. We're not, no offense to Subway. We're not going to put McDonald's and all the chains there. We're going to do things that are yours. And I think to really, when you need to market your top restaurants, maybe your top retail shops, maybe your top attractions, things to do, and then while we're here, what else do we need to do? And so I think these are things that you could do that would be phenomenal. So, you want the list? Okay. And by the way, you cannot let politics kill this. See, here's the problem, is we need tourism to be helpful. This is why chambers can't do tourism, because they promote members only. And they have to treat every member the same. But in tourism, we want to know. You know what the number one asked question is of visitors in the world? Where's a good place to eat? And please don't hand me a list. We want help. And this brochure is great. And of course, topping the list would be the EAA Museum. There's just no question about it. I mean, this is an international draw. You're so lucky to have this place. I mean, it is just flat out amazing. And I've been to a lot of air museums, but this one is the best of the best, all the way around. And so that would be number one. And by the way, with this, even you can do this on your website in little videos or even just pictures. You know, and by the way, Amy, you'll have all these photos. You know, I just thought EA, that's absolutely number one. Then I would also put the Military Veterans Museum on there. We did not have a chance to go into it, but I think that would be awesome. And so that would absolutely be a best of. You know, Settlers Mill, love that place. You know where it's at, over there by the outlet malls, but that place was busy this weekend. That is really a nice little mini golf that probably most visitors don't even know exists unless they happen to be over there on that side of the freeway. Because we know how outlet malls are doing this these days. They're all hurting, same as regular malls. And so this place was just really great. Now, is the water park, is it open to the public? Can the public go there? Okay? This would be fantastic for visitors. One thing that we absolutely fell in love with Oshkosh is there's 2 places, of all the 2,200 communities we've worked in, we're in 2,000. I don't think I've ever seen a family-centric community as great as Oshkosh is. When I got this, notice it's kind of fun, more family-oriented. This is the brand new one. And I just thought that just fits. And so I just thought this water park is amazing. You know when you're promoting your best stuff, you know you're also promoting quality of life. And I have more to say about that shortly. I mean, absolutely, the Payne Art Center Gardens is just absolutely stunning. However, we went there and we didn't realize it's by appointment only. So we did not get a chance to go in. However, because we weren't sure whether we could go in and pay, it says you have to pay admission to walk the gardens, but we didn't know, can we go in and pay the admission if we don't have an appointment? And so we walked the gardens anyway. So if somebody from the Payne Art Center wants to know, we'll be happy to pay the admission. We really wanted to go in there. But we couldn't, we thought, well, we'll just come back later, but then we were so busy trying to find everything. We never had a chance. So we did walk it, and I mean, that place is just absolutely stunning. And it kind of reminded me of the Bertram Mahler, you know, up in Neenah, out out there, which is about glass. But this it's just, and I don't know if there's a little restaurant or if that's for events or if that's, if they have those things. I'm not too sure. There's no real signage about that, but it's just stunning. Just absolutely. Now, when you see these pictures, think of it from somebody as a visitor. You go, wow. I mean, that's the feeling we have. It's just like, wow. And by the way, we found this, by nav system. Because we couldn't find a sign. There was one or two signs, but they didn't really connect. Now, then next one, the public museum. And I've been in enough museums to last me a lifetime, like thousands of them. But this one, I mean, right now there's a Star Wars exhibit in there of all the toys that have been made for Star Wars. And it's so cool when museums can rotate exhibits, because then it's not a been there, done that. There's always a reason to come back. And it was fun going through there. We didn't have to have an appointment, which was great. And it was so funny just hearing kids go, oh, I remember that. And even adults remember back into the 70s when they had some of those Star Wars toys. I mean, it was really cool. And even the museum itself outside of Star Wars is just stunningly beautiful. I mean, just the gardens alone. We were just, our whole thing about Oshkosh is like, wow, this place is just stunningly beautiful everywhere we went. The displays are well done. That one got a little out of focus. It's a little dark in there. But anyway, just really, really amazing. And of course, the Leach Amphitheater is not the attraction. It's concerts in the amphitheater. So I don't like promoting facilities, but and I imagine you do concerts there, right? Are there any scheduled for this year? There are. How would anybody know? See what I mean? But it is, what a fabulous venue, and it's right on the river, and I mean, that's just everything about it. I snuck around it, and actually put my camera over a gate, tried to get in there to take a couple of pictures, but it's absolutely beautiful. And even along the waterfront right there, and the river walk is fantastic. Now, is the river walk all the walkways on both sides of the river? Is that all called the river walk? So it's not just one side over the other. Okay, they're all amazing. And I love seeing the rail bridge right there and getting that information. Performances, once again, we don't promote the venue, we promote performances. And is the Opera House, does it have performances coming up this year, later on maybe? It does? Once again, invite us back. So these are all your best stuff. I mean, so far there's probably no surprise here. Maybe the mini golf was a surprise to you. But I'm just warming up with that one. And so I think concerts and events, I think would be great. When I saw Wisconsin herd, I didn't know what it was. I thought we were trying to promote the herd immunity that we're all trying to get to. Yeah, that was perfect tie in the total. Yeah. But anyway, it's great that they do concerts and sports there. This one here, I didn't know. The next one, I didn't know whether I should include it or not, because I don't know that this is ever open to the public. But just this place all by itself, I thought this is worth seeing. I mean, obviously you had a lot of weddings going on this weekend here in town. And there was one going on right there. That place is stunning. And I thought, even if it's not open to the public, you got to go see it. Just walking down there by the river, the boats there, I mean, that place is just amazing. So is it only for special events? And the yacht club, okay, because that is fabulous. So even though I wouldn't know what the activity is, I mean, how old is the home?
It was built in
1903. It's just stunning. I just went, wow. So I think that's one of those must-see things. It was just amazing. I mean, so there we are. I was going to be a wedding crasher in that design. I'm just standing on the side of the fence. I had a big camera too. They're probably going, there's somebody over there spying. It must be the paparazzi. Because they were looking at me. There's a guy over there on the fence. Right? So anyway, but it was great. They were just getting set up when we got there. But just amazing place. Fox River Brewing, I cannot say enough nice things about them. Is somebody here from Fox River Brewing?
They were great. They said we don't get
Yeah. Well, even if you don't like beer, I mean, they have the cornhole toss. I just went, man, so even if the parents over there having a sip or two, and I mean, I just thought what they did there, we went over there, and I mean, we actually ate there. I mean, it's just fabulous. Everything they do, I mean, I love the cornhole tosses, the colored picnic tables. One thing about downtown Oshkosh is everything is so drab, and I'm coming to that. And all of a sudden I'm seeing purple and yellow and blue and red and the big chairs and everything. We just thought this was the class act. This is the class act. It just said, yes, there's some life here. Because we couldn't find it on Main Street, unfortunately, and I'm coming to that. But I just thought it was just absolutely incredible what they're doing there. I mean, that place was hopping the whole weekend. And so absolutely they'd be on there as the best. But plus they'd also be in that brew, the libations loop if you do that. And then original oats chocolates, best ever. That's been around since 1890. I mean, I think it's been it's like the 10th, I don't know, it's been like 5 generations. And they still run it. The chocolatier was out there. He was out there picking out the trash. I said, you have a wonderful shop. He said, it's been in our family for generations. I mean, that place is amazing. And it gives us, that's on Ohio Street, right? It gives us a reason to go off of Main over there. But we went in there and, see, I'm wearing a lot of it. We had to buy several pounds of chocolate. And by the way, it is, if you get milk chocolate melts, mint, oh my gosh. You eat one of those, it literally melts in your mouth and you're oh. It's amazing. But really a great shop. There's Jane trying it out. Yeah. Samples. And then what's really cool is just like almost right across the street is Rhapsody's. Now, one thing to notice, we're promoting some public sector stuff, we're promoting private sector stuff. Tourism is a means to an end. If heaven forbid you ever spend any of your money at the Fox River Mall or somewhere out of town, that's called leakage. Tourism is the purest form of economic development. We come in and spend money, and these are jobs. These are people's jobs. And that place, we did have the frozen custard there, and it was amazing. I mean, even when you walk inside, what they did there, a painter paints a picture on canvas, musicians paint their pictures on silence. But I just thought it was just really cute what they've done even inside, let alone they had the outdoor, cafe seating there. Just really great. I know they're not the only place with custard, and yes, I'm coming to that one. And so, I mean, caramel crisp, this was in the ugliest building in the United States, except for what they did here, the facades of these were nice. And that whole city center thing, to this day, we don't know what it is or was. All we know is that it's ugly. And so, but this shop is amazing. This shop is amazing. I mean, Jane went in there while I was taking pictures and goes, now this is finally a shop I would like to spend time in. Just really well done. They got the tables out front, bike rack right there. I mean, just really nicely done. And so congrats to them. Thank you. Is that yours? It's really a great shop. Really great. And we even like Perks Coffee over on the other side there. But that was in all the city center. I think that's the only 2 things that even exist there that we know of, that are worth walking or driving to. Leon's, of course, seems to be an institution here. I mean, it was just incredible there. So we didn't actually have their frozen custard, but you can just tell that place was always busy. It was always busy. And we just love it's really nostalgic, and really great. Another one that made our list that on the curb appeal, it didn't quite make the curb appeal one. And that is the Originals Ball Antiques. But I'll tell you, that place was busy. It's on the other side of the freeway. It doesn't have a lot of good curb appeal. I mean, see, there's the guy who's hopefully fixing the sign. But I mean, that place, the parking lot was full all day long. long. They got stuff everywhere. I don't know how much this is actual antiques. It's more like a flea market maybe. But still, it was busy and it gets rave reviews. So for anybody that's into that, it'd be fantastic. And then this is probably maybe my favorite of all of them. Artie and Ed's. What can you say? I mean, this place, and by the way, if it would not have been here, we would have never found it. And so, I mean, that place was always hopping. See the girls wearing the roller skates. I mean, plus, look at it, it's open until 9 p.m. Woohoo, there's life after 6 somewhere in Oshkosh. And, you know, and I mean, that place was just hopping. And when you see, you know, the roller skates, I mean, it's just like, yeah, is this cool or what? I mean, you know, one thing we did notice about Oshkosh, I'm not sure we found any fine dining anywhere in the city. But your casual dining, like here, is absolutely fabulous. I love this restaurant. This was probably our favorite place we ate. And they have buses full of people going there to eat. I mean, tour buses that actually go there. They're serving 40 people on a bus when we drove up. But it's got the fire pit out in front. I mean, it's just, I kept going, I wish this was on Main Street. I wish this stuff was more gathered into downtown. But once again, fantastic. Please see the host to be seated. You know, welcome to Mahoney's. I mean, just a great atmosphere there. Really good food. On downtown, I would absolutely eat at Gardina's Kitchen and Bar. I think it's Kitchen Bar and Market. There's a market in the back. And that was fabulous too. Really, really good food. Excellent paninis, by the way. I mean, really good. And then when we were out, we saw, you know, this little, the loose cruise? What's it? On the loose cruise. And I took this picture, and then the guy came out, and he goes, this is Memorial Day weekend. He goes, you know, you guys, I see you're out taking pictures. I don't have anybody booked at 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, and I'll take out for free. I just about cried. We couldn't go because we were busy. We had to work, you guys. And I just felt so bad for him. It seemed so nice. I'm going, oh my gosh, it's Memorial Day weekend. You know, and he told us about the tour, where it goes, and you can call ahead. I asked him if he went on Lake Winnebago, and he goes, no, because if the rail bridge does go down, then you can't call him. Just open it back up, and you might miss the next tour. But he was so nice and everything, and I just thought, that's really cool. And so, you know, and the reviews were great. I mean, I loved it. You know, and so I thought that was another one. So, I mean, look at your best odds. Name a city. I don't think I've ever worked in a city that had a population of under 100,000 or 150,000 that had as much stuff to do as you do in Oshkosh. We're just blown away by it. I am Menominee Park and Zoo is the, there you go, best family park in the country, and you can quote me on it. Do it. I mean, it is phenomenal. Just phenomenal. I mean, all of your parks, you know, are just phenomenal. I mean, the little people, I just kept going, man, I wish we were here with our kids, grandkids, you know, I mean, just everywhere. People were just having a great, great time. I mean, this is one of the, we were like, let's go over there and kick some kids off this equipment so we can do that. I mean, they had girls spin, there was one of these things that spins around, and she got off of that. I couldn't believe she could still stand up. But it's just, we just thought, I don't know, when it comes to branding, I don't know if you can even find a more family-centric community than Oshkosh, period. I mean, I'd be hard-pressed to find one. You know, even things like going out there and you can rent, can you rent stand-up paddleboards? These are Hobie cabs. I mean, just all of these things out there, what do you call it, the Family Fun Center or whatever. Just absolutely amazing. We could have spent a week just out there. Not January. Unless we're ice fishing, right? So, and then the zoo, the fact that the zoo was even free. You know, it was just really great. And that's, you know, sponsored people helping make this, keep this free. I mean, it was just so fun to see all these families just standing back and watching them, having a great kid pointing. I mean, people were just having a fantastic time. And another great example of welcoming us back. Upgrades, things we're doing, changing, making it even better. It's just that we got to come back. And then we saw other great parks. I mean, like Rainbow Memorial Park and the one we drove by every day. When we came over to this side, the one that you named after that TV show, what is it? South Park. Yeah, and by the way, that's how we got over here, because that's 44th going over. It was the one way to get into town without going through all those friggin' roundabouts. So anyway, but anyway, over there, that's more of a natural, and yes, anybody know where this is? Oh yeah, it's a biker bar. We felt a little bit out of place, but you know, it's out there in the middle of the country. We're at the winery, and by the way, the winery has really fantastic pizza, but they weren't serving it on Saturday or Sunday, whichever day we were there, Sunday. And so they said, but just go up the road to the Log Cabin Bar and Grill. And so we went over there, and you know what? Best burgers ever. Now, I know there's a runner-up coming up here, but best burgers, I think it's the day they said, whatever Matt cooks, it's going to be awesome, and it was. And it is what it is. You know, and there were several bikers there, and you know, it's a little bit of a, I mean, it's just, it is what it is. It's cool. And it was amazing. I would be the best out. I don't know if they're open year-round. They're probably not open year-round, probably just seasonal. But, you know, then I would absolutely put the recreation trail. I think the top 3 trails that are in this guide, I think are all 3 fantastic. One of our favorites was Terrell's Island. Now, this took us forever to figure out how to find it. Because I think Amy had it in here as one of our hidden gems. And yes, absolutely hidden. And absolutely a gem. Because Siri would have no clue where Terrell's Island is, but actually Siri did know where Terrell's Island was. But we're out there going all over the place. Finally we get here, what we love about this is the second you pull up, it says the public's invited. That, I love that. Public is invited. You know, and there it is. Due to construction safety concerns, here's what we're working on. So they'll let you know there's a reason to come back again. And another thing they do really well there is that they actually say, how was your visit? We'd love to know about it. I wish more people would do that. How was your visit? Would you please share it on Google, TripAdvisor? And I just email your comments, questions, suggestions. Find us on Facebook. Excellent job. Usually when you go to these, what you see is a whole bunch of rules and regulations. And this didn't. It was inviting. You know, and so, and by the way, it's beautiful out there. We didn't get to do the whole hike, you know, because for some reason we had to work. But we did go out there, and it's just beautiful out there. And so I just think these are things you've got to promote. Now, I keep going through these, and I keep going, oh, there must only be one more. But there's several. I mean, vines and rushes, absolutely great. Sorry that's out of focus. But it was actually a really, really good experience out there. And look at this, it was packed. It was busy. And I mean, just beautiful gardens, just everything about it. Inside, we met the guy in the pinkish sweatshirt there is a cop from Seattle that fled. Yeah, you probably heard about Seattle in the news recently. And he lives there. He says, my family grew up out here. He goes, I finally came home. And it was really cool hearing about some people actually came out there. And so, and they even did this, look, their upcoming events. I'm like, yes! Reasons to come back. And so fantastic. Now, there's one that we didn't hear about until it was too late. But apparently it's another institution that's Pete's Garage Bar. Am I right? Yeah, that's what I thought. So we didn't get, I don't know, where is this one?
It's on Oregon.
Oh, it's on Oregon. Okay. So we missed this one somehow. But then we saw a top 10 neighborhood bar in Wisconsin. So there's going to give the log cabin, you know, we got a battle of the burgers going, which would be kind of fun, actually. Now, there were a couple other things that were promoted that we did not include, like Hughes chocolates were out until September, and it's at somebody's house. So I thought, you know what, we need to be open consistently, more of a retail, so we didn't include that one. And then the cake guru, apparently she makes incredible cakes and everything. She is now closed at this location and is somewhere near Menards or somewhere, I think. But might be a best of, we don't know. We don't know if she sells cupcakes. I know she does cakes and everything. It's a cute little shop. I was really sad to see that due to COVID. I mean, there weren't very many public weddings where you got big wedding cakes last year, even though people did get married. But look at this list. I want you just to look at this list and say, this is in our town. All these things are in Oshkosh. I mean, and this is like, I can't remember one was city coming up. I just went, look at this. Look at what you got here. Anybody who would get this brochure would say, wow, I need to be there for 2 or 3 weeks, or I need to come back over and over and over so that we can get through these best ofs. And remember, even the people that are not in the best ofs are going to get benefit by promoting your anchor tenants. This is 28, and I actually, when I added the, let's see, and did I put on here? I did I put the trail? Yeah, we got the libations loop, so we don't put all of them there. We just say, here's a trail that's one of our best ofs. So we have those there. And if you had like 34, 35 of these, that would be the best brochure ever. And you know what? When you look at that, anybody we're going to show this to now is going to say, I want to live there. So this goes beyond just tourism. Promote your best ofs because success breeds success. And if somebody's not in here and they think they should be, then what you do is say, and by the way, we didn't see everything. So you might have 40. I wouldn't go beyond that, but I would do that because, and then when you raise the bar, get your reviews up and stuff, we want to add you would do this every year. This is an amazing list. So, you can even add to this by promoting hidden gems. And this is one of the coolest things I've ever saw. This is a little book about this size. Has anybody ever seen this? No? Nobody here saw it. It's a little book about this size. It was written by Richard Rusnak, who we lost a few years ago. He was not Door County Tourism. He was a general contractor. And he had so many people going to Door County saying, what is there to do there? And all their website and everything was selling all the generic. We have lighthouse, we have trails, we have Scandinavian shops, Christmas year-round, all the things in Door County, which we also assessed, all of Door County. But he did a cool thing with this little book. He had 101 things to do, like this one, and I'll read that for you in the back. Our favorite Sunday morning starts with breakfast at the White Gull Inn on Main Street and Fish Creek. Splurge on a slice of their famous Door County berry sour cream coffee cake. Sold, right? Then take a much-needed stroll down Cottage Road. From the White Gull Inn, follow Main Street to Cottage Road, turn right. The walk will take you north along a row of shoreline cottages about a mile before it turns up the steep bluff. At the base of the bluff is a sliver of a park known as Champagne Rock, named for the little rock that hangs out over the water. Down the back's a perfect way to walk up breakfast and start the day. Now, Chippewa, Indiana did one in full color. This is black and white. But they did one in full color. But with this one, they started selling. First of all, he printed these and they cost us about $4 a book. And for you, I would just do the hidden gems. I would do 101 things. It might be 40, it might be 50. I do the hidden gems of Oshkosh and Winnebago County or Winnebago, the Lake Winnebago. And he bought these, they're like $4.50 a book. He sold them for $9 and they retailed for $15. So Wisconsin State Parks was selling these. And they did a survey of people saying, would you mind if we followed up with you 6 months from now, 1 year from now, 1.5 years from now, 2 years? Would you send a simple email about this little book you just bought? You know what they found? 96% of the people that purchased this book came back to Door County an average of 4 times just to find these little hidden gems. It was the best marketing Door County ever had. No offense to their tourism bureau. I mean, it was just, because it was just these cool little things. And so you have some of these, I don't know, I have no idea what this is, but I think it's the coolest thing ever. I mean, I just think, it's just really cool. You know, I don't know if is it a business? Is it just a display? It's a hidden gem. And I don't know how many of these you have, but you probably got not just like this, but I just thought, I'll bet you there's so many little things that we don't know about that you know about around here, right? Particularly out in the country. I mean, I don't know where you'd find it, but I just thought you could do some of these. It would be really, really fun to do. You know, I mean, even buildings like this. What is this now? Used to be a fire station, right? It's just somebody's house. Ah, man, I wanted that for my house. It's just such a cool building. Those are those cool little hidden gems that you'll just go, I gotta see that. I mean, it's just really gorgeous. So, that's another thing you can do. And that can be done private sector like that guy did. I think it'd be really fun. So now, downtown. I want to give you 3 statistics that are really important. I call this the 7-8-7 rule. It's 70-87. 70% of all consumer retail spending takes place after 6 p.m. Are you open? And 80% of that is by women. I'm waiting. There's a guy in the audience that pipes up and says, that's all. But it's an absolutely true fact. And 70% of first-time sales come from curb appeal. The biggest challenge we had in downtown, and I'm talking about mainly, it's on Ohio, it's on Oregon, it's on Main Street. Curb appeal in this town is sorely, sorely lacking. I mean, we're kind of dismayed by most of the retail shops on your Main Street, we wouldn't walk in. And that's just curb appeal. They may be fabulous shops. And so that is so critical. But there's nothing you can invest in that's more important than your downtown. Downtowns are back. Matter of fact, malls are dying. 1/3 of the malls in the United States have already closed, and 20% of outlet malls have already closed. I mean, the days of that's over. And so I want to talk about business mix. And you have a beautiful downtown, but even, Saturday afternoon, I could stand in the middle of Main Street, shoot a cannon down Main Street, and not hit anything. I mean, I was just shocked at how little traffic there was downtown this weekend, on a holiday weekend. And by the way, the bridge was not closed when I took that picture. There's a thing called the 10-10-10 rule. In 3 lineal blocks, this is what you need. So if we were to take 3 lineal blocks of Main, so we're not talking about any side streets, we're just talking about 3. This is the minimum you need to have a downtown that will be a destination for both locals and visitors. You need at least 10 places that sell food. You're probably close to that if we started at, is it Blue Moon? If we start at New Moon, is it New Moon? Start at New Moon and then go north from there, we might hit 10, but between there and the river, and then 10 places have destination retail shops, and there's where you're sorely lacking. You might have close to these, but out of those 20, you need at least half of them open after 6. Here's what you have to understand, is that during the day, we're shopping, we're at work, we're at school, we're doing those things. We get done, we go home, we change clothes, and your downtown's closed. I mean, and we're not talking about, the only thing you have downtown is you have some restaurants, which are great, and then you have some bars, but other than that, I didn't see any retail. So if you want retail here, you have to go out and find Walmart and stuff. And by the way, that statistic, 70% happens after 6 o'clock, came from the National Retail Federation. But it applies to small businesses as much as the big businesses. So, consistent hours and days, open into the evenings, like businesses grouped together, anchor tenants that make it worth a special trip, and a central gathering place. And so I always think downtown should be like an antique mall. You know, antique malls do 10 times the business when they're grouped together than if they're spread out all over the place. And same thing with like auto malls. I mean, just look across the freeway. You know, and why is it Bergstrom? Why do you think he has all the different cars there? Because people are always drawn to choice, multiple choices. You know, Porter gas station, lifestyle retail centers, food courts. And so we actually walked downtown from the river heading north. We thought if we're staying at the Best Western or we're holding a convention here, and I've done at the end of the day, by the way, conventions go to places where there's things to do at the end of the convention day. So if I was to leave here and start walking up Main Street, there's the Visitors Bureau, there's a steel company, there's tax and accounting, there's a consulting firm, there's Greater Oshkosh, I'm not sure, there's an empty space, and then there's U.S. Bank across the street, and then there's the Best Western Brown. I mean, in the first block, there's nothing for visitors, nothing even for locals. I mean, I was just shocked that the condos across the street, or no, the condos, where are they? Right over here. That's not retail. I was shocked that wasn't a coffee shop and a bookstore and retail, because that's what's coming back into downtowns. And so you have really nothing there. I mean, we're certainly not getting the 10-10-10 rule. So then we decided, let's go up another block. And we got a stockbroker, we got a photographer, we got a venture thing, Screwball Sport Pub, which looked pretty sketchy. No offense. Empty space, another empty space, a tattoo parlor, a pharmacy that looked like stuck in 1972, and then Market Boutique on Main. I mean, look at this. If we're a visitor and you want us to go down Main Street, and we're right there, what is it, Opera House Square, Opera House Square. I mean, we're going, and what happens is we don't even have enough incentive for people to walk another block. So we already walked 2 blocks and there's still nothing. And then finally we start getting up there. We have, I don't know, is that bank empty? Okay, but there's no signs on it. Didn't know what that was. Exclusive I have no clue what that is. I don't even know if it's open. If it's in business, I have no clue. I mean, that was pretty much it on that side. New Moon Cafe, that's great. We got another photographer. I think it's a wedding or some kind of venue. Used to be like a bake or something. Okay, then we have Adventure Games, which is a great shop. House of Heroes, is that still operating? Okay, wouldn't have known it. Satori Imports, not too sure. Jambalaya Arts, I mean, we're starting Mojo's, I think it's tacos or something, Brinkley's Boutique, vacancies. I mean, what do we got here? Hempworks, we got, so now we're starting to get some. But even Yorubi Al Tap Room, which by the way, that was rated really high. That might be, somebody said it's really great. So these are, remember, there might be a few more in your best ups. But here's the point, is that, and I could keep going up, and we're starting to get some, but it's still hit and miss. And with this, I think you need to orchestrate. I always say every city should have, you know what, you can spend tens of millions of dollars to make downtown Oshkosh look amazing, and it will still be dead as a doornail, because it's what's in the buildings that makes you a draw. The rest is window is all window shopping. It's all dressing it up. And so you need to have some kind of business mix there. I mean, is Oshkosh Bagosh still exist? Is children's clothing? But they're not here. I mean, even the original town where JCPenney's was founded still has a store. I was just shocked that, that they didn't have a store here somewhere. They do at the outlet center. It should be downtown. Matter of fact, I think all those business outlets, well, no, actually, I don't want too many chains downtown. I want things that are organic. But Oshkosh, I mean, it was founded here. So, and by the way, we even believe in actually creating zoning ordinances. That would say first floor needs to be retail, restaurants, those types of things. Ground floor retail, and do that on 2 or 3 blocks of Main Street. We call that a zoning overlay. Your downtown could be amazing. But you know what? The days of malls, over. And you know what's happening is, downtowns are about Etsy, not Macy's. I mean, Macy's is struggling, Sears is on death's door, Penny's is on death's door. I mean, department stores are pretty much gone. What you can't get on Amazon is Etsy. That's why they're still out there. That's why Etsy still works. You know what's coming back into downtowns? Believe it or not, it's the butcher, it's the baker, and you know the last one, the candlestick maker. These things are coming into downtowns and they work. The little cupcake shops, the little, like the frozen custard, all of those things are coming back into downtown. I would, if it was me and I was working with the city, I'd have somebody full-time hired to work with property owners and recruiting a business mix into downtown that will make downtown a destination. Here's what you have to understand about visitors. We may come for the EAA Museum or Cabela's had a big thing this weekend, whatever it is, but the number one activity once we arrive is shopping, dining, and entertainment in a pedestrian-friendly setting. That's where 80% of the non-lodging spending takes place. That's why Disney put downtown Disney outside of each of its parks to get that 80%. I'm not so sure you're getting that 80%. I didn't see visitors walking up and down Main Street this whole weekend, on a holiday weekend. So here's some things you could do. The first one are blade signs. Can you tell me what's in any of those shops? Blade sign. How about here? Can you tell me what's anywhere down their street? Give me one incentive why I should keep walking down the block. Blade signs are signs that are perpendicular to foot traffic and vehicle traffic. Those are blade signs. I mean, even here. Anything down there? I mean, it's like, hello, 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 hello. You know, down Main Street. I mean, I can keep going on and on and on. No curb appeal and nothing that tells me anything exists down these sidewalks. These are blade signs. Notice something about these blade signs. Chocolate, collectibles, trains, restaurant. Always put what it is you're selling, not the name of the store, on your blade signs. Because when we see Satori, I don't know what it is you're selling. When we see the exclusive company, I don't know what it is you're selling. You always have to put on your sign what it is you're selling that will pull us in the door. And then once we walk in, you say, welcome to the exclusive company, or whatever you are. So you need to have blade signs. Make them consistent height and size. Now, I've worked in some cities that don't even allow blade signs. And if that's true, you need to change your ordinances. But I was shocked that none of your retailers have it. That's Nantucket. Notice they're consistent. They don't all have to be the same shape. Everybody should have their own unique look. And this is in Carmel, California. Those are blade signs. I mean, here's, this is up in Canmore, Alberta, a town of 10,000. Blade signs, kitchen boutique. I mean, this would be one thing that would really help your business downtown. And so, their general rule of thumb, no more than 7 feet, no higher than 9 feet, so they can be 24 inches tall, usually 42 inches wide, or any smaller, usually 18 inches out from the front. But one thing that would help your business is having blade signs. And then putting on the blade signs what it is you're selling. Okay? So there's one. You can even do a buying co-op. Where you work with a sign maker and you everybody gets like a third off because we're buying 20 of them for different businesses. So the next one, curb appeal. I mean, with exclusive company, it looks better from the back than it does from the front. And that's really too bad. You wonder why do you think they would spend all that money? Because when you're driving down the freeway, you can't help but notice those fountains, and it makes it look like a first-class car dealership. I mean, that's curb appeal. And so, the winner for curb appeal is right there, Fletcher's. I mean, it's the only place that had hanging baskets. Look at that. That's gorgeous. That's what, yes, thank you, Fletcher's. So I think they did just an amazing job. I mean, I love the fact that it's got some color on it. It's just really nice. I'd love to see, a couple of benches out there, but still really well done. So not all of downtown is lost. I think this is Peabody's looks really great too. It's got the side yard, it's got the lights out there that are lit up at night. It's got planters out in front where the fence is there. I just thought overall they just did a really, really, really nice job. And so thank for them. Thank goodness for them. I mean, this is down on Side Street, Artful Gifts. That's beautiful. It had the best window displays of anybody downtown. I mean, the window displays are just nicely done. It had nice, I love to see some pots out in front, and it was closed on the weekend, which was unfortunate. But still, really nicely done. I just thought, now that's a nice shop. I thought Manila did a really good job there. I'd love to see a little chair, a table, a little two-place table there. And I know the sidewalk's fairly narrow, but they do. And by the way, but I thought their curb appeal was nice. Put some pots there, and then put the dining out back. I thought it was great. So I think they do a really great job. I'd love to see in a bike shop, and then the meat market. Sorry, that's slightly out of focus there. Are those related at all, the meat market, or they just happen to be right next to each other? Just right next to each other? Because they're both really nice. So there you go, you do have the butcher. Is it a butcher shop? You do have the butcher, you do have a bike shop downtown, which is great. I thought their sign was nice. I would still like to see some pots, just something. But overall, very nice. Saturday 9 to 2, I thought was like shorting it, since Saturday's a big bike day. So I thought that was a little bit short. But generally speaking, here's the scoop. We believe cities should be charged with curbside beautification. Merchants and downtown associations should do facade side beautification. Downtown needs to be a public-private partnership, not one or the other. And the city has these pots down there. They're nice. There's some street trees down there. But on the facade side, there's nothing to soften the transition between sidewalks and the front of the buildings. It's just stark. And by the way, I'm going to get to this in a minute, but, some of these have nice little displays, but there's just nothing to really pull your eye when you're walking down the street or driving down the street. And probably the worst thing is seeing pots that are used as ashtrays. This is like, okay, this is gross. This is how people get impressions. First impressions are lasting impressions. And so I just thought, man, you ought to create a buying co-op where you need to have pots and planters running down there. Let me give you a case history. This is in Fredericksburg, Texas. Population's about 10,000. Their main street is a lot like yours. They did a cool thing. None of that was there. They had one merchant said, okay, we got to do something. We got to beautify our facade. So this merchant went up and down the street asking him for money so he could go buy pots and planters. He and she, it was him and his wife. And they went out and they collected, somebody gave him $5, somebody gave him $200. I think their average donation was like $40. And then they waited till like October, so now it's the shoulder season. They went to a wholesale nursery and said, look, we'll take any pot you got. We want them for pennies on the dollar. So they could have a crack down, a hairline crack, and we can put tar on the inside to hold together. If they have a chip on the top, or if it's a set where one of them broke, we'll take whatever you got, as long as it's 21 inches or bigger opening. So as long as it's 21 inches, we'll take it. And so he went, they borrowed a flatbed truck from somebody in town, they loaded it up with pots, brought it downtown, put the pots on the side street, and said, everybody, help yourselves. They didn't say you only pay flatbed, you only get one. They just said, help yourselves. So you can see this merchant grabbed those first few right there, right there, and then this merchant grabbed these that look the same. They see they look a little different down there. And they went and lined the main street with these. They grabbed a couple of these. And now this was in, and then there were some that were kind of left over, so this person did a whole grouping of them. And then what they did, a cool thing. They got like a dump truck yard of topsoil, dump truck load of topsoil, dumped it on a side street, and then they brought in like a couple yards, square yards of river rock. It's a landscape fabric. They went to local high school students. They went to cheerleaders, band, football, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, any youth organization looking to raise money. And they did a deal with say, here's what we want you to do. Once all the pots are laid out, we want you to go ahead and put river rock in the bottom of the pot, put a circle of landscape fabric or square, depending on the shape of the pot, and then fill it full of topsoil. They never had one case of vandalism because kids protect things they take ownership of. Then, because it was winter, they put pinwheels and stuff in them. And it was huge. I mean, the pinwheels made the national news. And then in the spring, they plant them primarily with evergreens. So, evergreens and perennials. I mean, look at that. Does it make you want to go in? Blade sign, the door is open, and they've got like 1, 2, 3, 4 pots right there. That's what you need to do. And because look at this, there's that statistic again. You know what? We all travel. Have you ever said these words? That looks like a nice place to eat. We all do. So, just to rub it in a little bit, you don't have to go far. I took this a long time ago in downtown Neenah. See this stretch? Notice the facades before, after. Those retail shops, their sales went up 30% doing that. Go to Lake Geneva, look at their downtown. Go to Neenah, look at their downtown. I mean, I don't know why Oshkosh isn't doing this. And I just thought, man, why aren't you downtown? I mean, you have to understand the power of beautification. You know, this is in a town up in Alberta, St. Albert. This is before. He also changed the name. It says St. Thomas Coffee House. Before, after. His sales went up 400%. Just going from that, notice the windows and everything, it's the same place, to that. You know what the mayor told me? I could never even get a seat in there. So imagine what you could do. And by the way, all benches need to be off there and be put up against the facade. We don't put chairs out in we put them on our front porch. We don't put them out next to the sidewalk in our front yard. All these benches should be up against the facade and flanked with pots and planters. So all of these, I think the city should take them and just put them up against the facade. Number one, think about this. Why do you think we do this at our houses? We may never even sit in those chairs. But you know what it says? Our house is welcoming. It works with retailers. Nobody wants to sit out there with people walking behind you and cars parked right in front of them. I mean, they're just misplaced. But can you imagine if your retail shops would do that? Or that? Or that? I mean, this is not rocket science. You know, and I even think, and I was talking to Amy about this, that somebody should there should be a person dedicated to retail assistance, recruiting retailers into downtown, and then working with them. I mean, this has nice window displays, but for me, you know, that looks really tacky there. You know, can use some paint or something. I would actually paint the aluminum trim with yellow or red or some kind of a color so it doesn't look so 70s. I would get your clothes signed so it doesn't look like it's 100 years old. I would actually clean that out there. What happens is a lot of retailers walk in the back door, they don't even notice what we notice as visitors or as customers. You know, I would just, that's all just kind of dirty, grungy. There's no pots, no planters, nothing there. You know, even out there on the side, and look at the awning up there. I mean, it just is all tattered. You know, and so these are things that people notice. And they make a decision whether or not they're going to go inside based on curb appeal, fair or not. And so that was one thing I thought you could really use. I add some color, some benches. I could just see a pot, a bench, a pot, another bench, and another pot right there. Would be just absolutely great for this place. But this is everywhere. You need to have it. You know, this is delicious food. I'm looking in the window going, delicious food? It's a bunch of boxes piled up. And so these are the kinds of things that you're going, and I didn't even know that there was a pharmacy, but we got a walker in there, and then we got boxes of stuff. I mean, it's just, you know, and I don't mean, you know what? Sometimes I can say things you'd like to say, but can't without paying a political price. This is why the second we leave, I have to scramble home out of here really fast. No, just kidding. But I need this to be constructive. Because we're making a judgment on a business based on what we're based on that view. And it may not be fair. You know, I was glad to see some green and some red there. It's the Tory. You know, I think it's window displays that are just kind of just stuff laid out there. There was nothing stacked. There was no height. And so I just think a lot of these double light art gallery just you know, look at, if you just notice things like this right here, you know, it just looks really, really tired, old. And so what happens is, how much sales are you losing because your curb appeal is not enough to entice anybody inside? I mean, benches, pots, planters, all those things would help. And it's everywhere. I mean, you know, it says, sorry, we're closed, but I couldn't find anything that didn't have store hours. I don't know if they're permanently closed or if it's just closed for the weekend. You know, I mean, this could be a really great shop, but the window displays, you know, these are the little things that people notice, is where it's all kind of rough right there, and it's just, you know, and it may not be fair, but that's how we judge a book by the cover. And so, you know, all of these were just, you know, I mean, you know, this was, you know, I don't know when winter ended, but I think that could seem better days. I mean, it's June 1st today, you know, and so you know, even here at the camera shop, I'm going, when's the last time anybody bothered to sweep up the leaves? So these are the things, you know, and we got a kick out of this at a health food place. We have organic produce. Those are all plastic. You know, it's just, this kind of this oxymoron here. Say, okay, I get what they're trying to say, but there might be a better way to do that. So, but we got a kick out of that. I mean, you know, this shop has good curb appeal. You know, see the bottom stuff there. You can use a couple of pots, planters there, but at least it had, and it would be nice if there's some elevation in the window displays. You know, but, and luckily, once you get to New Moon, it starts getting, you know, that's where we finally arrived in downtown. So, once again, I move these, you know, putting a table and one chair there is really not going to cut it. I mean, I'm going, really? That's not much of an attempt. So, you know, here we go. You know, this is, I'm not, okay, I said enough about me, so let me go the other, let's go to Racine. I mean, go to almost any town, downtown, and this is Racine. Notice the dog there, and notice the pots. This was taken about the same time of year, last 2 years ago, when we were Racine. But look at this. This is not even a restaurant, but just by putting out that little table, the 2 chairs, the dog is on rollers so they get scooted inside at the end of the day, it just adds appeal. It tells us you're in business. I think that's phenomenal. This is the kind of things you need to do in your downtown. And so, almost every downtown, this is important. By the way, women account for 80% of all spending. The number one thing for women is I want to feel safe. Beautification makes downtown feel safe. When it's just bare bones like yours, yeah, it's kind of like a little bit sketchy. I don't know if I want to walk down. We never felt unsafe, but we didn't feel like, wow, I can't wait to go to these shops. You know, I mean, even that, I took that in Lake Geneva in December, just by putting that pot out there and look at that open, busy bees. You know, it's worth it, the little sign pointing inside. This isn't rocket science. So here's the other thing, is every merchant should be allowed to have 2 feet, 24 inches outside their facade to extend window displays to exterior spaces. If that's not allowed, you need to change city ordinances to allow it. And that is doing this. That is allowing merchants every morning to go set up displays. These are not clothes racks. These are actual displays that you set outside. So you can have a bench, a pot, and then just do this. Every morning, this lady does this for her shop up in Canmore, Alberta. And I ask, you know, we ask people all the time, is it worth doing this? Are you kidding? Save my business. They know I'm in business. They know I'm open when they do that. I mean, look at the bike shop where they're hanging on the outside there, trying to stay back behind that line you see. But, I mean, look at that. This is a town of 10,000 you're looking at. You know, they got a little chalkboard right there telling you what their jewelry and then this right here is a little home accents and kitchen store. They actually do place settings outside. Love to see your merchants do this. I mean, isn't that awesome? It takes like 15, 20 minutes. You know, and instead of a clothes rack, you do that. So this could all be done. So, by the way, if you wouldn't put it in your display window, you don't put outside. No folding tables with stuff piled on. You wouldn't do that in a display window, you don't do it outside. Because that's what you don't want to do. Unless you're having a garage sale weekend. And then, consider air curtains. This is in Grass Valley, California in January. All the plants you see there are silk. But she has an air curtain there so that the heat stays inside, the cold air is outside. And granted, they're January there. This is in the Sierra Nevadas, so not quite as cold as you get in the winter, but it just says we're open. So, there's my chastising the retail downtown. You have some great retailers. They just don't do what it takes to pull people in. And if you have a business improvement district, which I think you have downtown, I would spend it on that curb appeal up and down Main Street. Facade side. Remember, cities can do the curb side, and merchants and business improvement districts do the facade side. And by the way, we've even seen my city, but if you do those pots every 2 to 3 feet, all the way up and down, move the benches back and everything, who's going to take care of it? We've even seen cities where Kiwanis or Rotary or any auxiliary organization will actually help you do that. What you do is they get a John Deere little tractor, and they have like a 300-gallon of water with fertilizer on it, and they'll have volunteers. We've seen mayors do it, city council people do it, Amy can do it. It'd be fun. And what they do is they take I'm going to do it the first, and they do it like 3 times a week, like on a Monday, Thursday, and a Saturday. And they'll have volunteers say, well, I'll take the first 3 Saturdays, and then they're done for the year. And what they do is they just drive it down the sidewalk in the morning with a wand, and they just water all the pots. So it's not up to every person. They may not have a sink. I mean, there are ways to do this. And it doesn't have to cost a fortune. And my last thing, or one of my other things about downtown, is why is every building gray, beige, tan, or brown? Your downtown is the most dreary looking place I've ever seen. And it's mainly this whole city center thing. I just went, oh my gosh. You know what? And it's what you see on the river. And I don't know. I mean, look at it's epitome 1972, and it hasn't changed a bit in 50 years. I mean, to me, it's like, you can't do this. You can't. I mean, it's not pressure washed. It's just, I mean, I feel so sorry for Perks, and I feel so sorry for your business. You know, because the rest of I mean, luckily those facades there look okay. I'm glad we have the blue awnings there. But, you know, we couldn't even find these businesses. We had to look for them because we saw city center from other ways and we went no way. And so I just, you know, I mean, just look at it's just got acres and acres and acres and acres of just beige everything. And we just thought, man, even the newer buildings in the background, everything is the same color. And I just thought, you need some color somewhere in this town. I mean, even if you go in there and do something crazy like that. I mean, you know what? I just did that for fun. But man, if you're in the event city, you're about family, you're about kids, add some color. It's easy to paint this stuff. And it doesn't have to be all those colors. You can do whatever you want. But just doing anything that makes it look better. Can imagine painting the side of that ramp that goes up above. I mean, I just kept going. I mean, this is if you walk from the convention center, this is what you see. There's really, when you step outside this convention center, it's like, why should we even cross the street? And so even on the waterfront, I kept going, man, can you see if all these squares here can be painted different colors or whatever you want? anything. I feel so sorry for Beckett's. Because it just looks great. Thank goodness for the color they put out there. If it wasn't for that, I don't know what they would do. But I kept going, why are these things, this just isn't rocket science. You just, and I mean, if imprint is in there, I would say imprint, paint this stuff. All those squares, all the aggregate and everything. Even this, I thought, okay, and I just did that for fun. I painted right over the traffic light and everything. But I just thought, even just doing that, if I was to take those off of there, it just adds some color and life into something that's otherwise very dreary and drab. And now you're seeing it through our eyes. You probably don't even notice it. And now you're starting to see it through our eyes. What would your first impression be? And by the way, you don't have to go far. Can you imagine if all of those were all the same color, tan or brown? They were. Well, I wonder why they look at that. That looks, I took that and said, that looks great. All of a sudden, I wouldn't mind living there. Before, it might have been, ooh, this looks like a low-income house or a tenement housing or something. But if they were, but they did that for a reason. It sells. Those can even be your color schemes. I don't know, whatever you want. But I just thought, wow, that sure looks a whole lot better. Picking those. I was ready to go out there and start painting buildings and everything. Because I thought, does this city have an ordinance that only allows one color? We're the monochrome city. That's it. So, parking. Okay, I'm off that one now. I probably made myself kind of clear on that one, didn't I? So, parking. 2-hour parking is a good way to kill it downtown. Here's the thing. We cannot get our employees to park somewhere else. We're going to punish our customers instead. We were downtown, and every time we were downtown, we were there for more than 2 hours. And we were looking for places. We parked out there. Luckily, we did not get ticketed this weekend. But if we're downtown, if we're going to dinner in the Opera House, we just exceeded 2 hours. Now, I think in your case, it's up until 6 in the Opera House. Most of that's going to be after 6. Take Sundays and holidays, which we were clear for this weekend. But I always think that 2-hour parking is a good way to kill it downtown. If you insist on 2-hour parking, you should tell us all-day parking next right or next left. Tell us where the all-day parking is. My phone's going off. And so, here, we've got 2-hour parking here and no parking over wherever that is. And so, there you go. And then, I don't know how bad you enforce it, but if you insist on 2-hour, tell me where I can find 4-hour parking. We parked at City Center. I don't know if that's public parking or not, but we parked there because it didn't say for attendance only or anything. So we did park there. Thank goodness. And we assumed that didn't have a 2-hour limit. But then, make downtown a 4-hour limit or provide directions to where we can find all-day parking. Another, crosswalks. When we're doing the river walk, you have several bridges. Some of those bridges, there's no crosswalks. When you walk across the street to get over on the next side. I mean, a perfect example. This is one that's good. This is on the west side of City Center. There's a crosswalk on this side of the bridge, but on the other side, there's none. And we sat there, see the people over there on the very far left? They're about ready to jaywalk. We watch people jaywalking across here all day long. There's no crosswalks. And it's not just this bridge, it's all of them. So you're promoting a river walk, and you're not even helping us get across the street to the next section of it. And so, by the way, one thing I love, these are called street bridges. See that there? See the guys up back there? They're just doing that side, they just finished this side. That's called Duratherm. It actually stamps the design down in the asphalt. It's not paint. So it's down like 3/8 of an inch. And then it's got a dye in the asphalt. So you can do snow removal over it. It lasts like 20, 30 years. And you can have whatever design you want. So whatever your brand is, if you want to make it fun and funky, you can have whatever design. And then those guys, they just finished this side, they're doing that side, you can drive on it 5 minutes later. So you can have whatever design. I thought you should have some decorative crosswalks to tie your river walk together. Because we only saw one cross. You can see how it's stamped down in there. Those are not paver stones. But I just thought you could do some really cool stuff with this. It's called Street Print is the company. It's called Durther is the process. And then one more thing about this is we went over to it's the Dockside Tavern, and we're going down when we see the river walk, and all of a sudden it's like, bam! Dead end! I mean, it's like, how do we get to Dockside? And we do have kids playing in the sand there and stuff, but I hope that, you know, what happens is you're running into private property, I'm sure is why it doesn't. But I hope they'll give you an easement. I understand down a little further there's a marina there, they need access to it from the water. But I thought, man, if this could just go another 150 feet or so, just in front of Dockside, because we're like, okay, are we allowed to keep going? Can I walk around the trees, get up there to the Dockside? That would be nice if you could finish that. But once again, there's no pedestrian wayfinding that says it dead ends, you know, a block down. And so, by the way, that's an awesome place too. Really great. I thought your waterfront was incredible. And so, I mean, I think it's just amazing. So now, one more. And this one is a big one. If you want your downtown to come to life, what comes first? People there on a consistent basis. And that would be to have a program plaza. And I thought where you hold the farmer's market could be a program plaza. You know, and whether it's there, you have like 5 places downtown where you could do a program plaza. And I thought, man, if you could get rid of all this asphalt, put in paver stones here, you already got that building there, there's storage back there, this could be an awesome plaza. And I'm going to show you that. So that's one idea. And I imagine that the city probably owns that. Am I right? No, it's private? It's private. You know, this whole weekend we saw like, no, that we never saw it being used. But maybe you buy it. I don't know. I'll give you some examples. We also saw this one is probably private as well. We thought, man, if you can open up the buildings on a plaza with restaurants and you take out the parking, I know what you're going to say. I'm going to get to that in a second. Or even like right here, little gathering areas. We got kind of a sort of pretty spot. But I thought if this could just be a little gathering area, we'd lose like 1, 2, 3, 4 parking spaces there. Or even right here, right? Like, could we terrace it where we had some steps and then up on the terrace? I'd get rid of the lawn. You know what? We have pretty parks, but we want people places. We want paver stones. I'm going to show you some examples. But I thought any one of these could be a great plaza and for you. And I just thought, wow, because somewhere you need, downtown is supposed to be the community living room. That is the future of downtown. It's where the locals, you know what? If you don't hang out in your downtown, neither will visitors. We didn't see you hanging out in your downtown, and neither did visitors. And we were here on Memorial Day weekend. But a living room, this is a little bungalow bar in Portland, Oregon. You know what? It's the sidewalk cafes, and it's here's where they, one town in Nova Scotia, where they took out 3 or 4 parking spaces, and they actually built this little park right here. And then they can take it up if they want, but they put a bike rack down there, they've got chess sets, it's a place for people to hang out. I'd love to see, you have a university, I'd love to see people doing street music, particularly on weekends. You have a lot of culture here, but I couldn't find it. You know, all of these kinds of things. Can you imagine having a plaza where you have this kind of stuff going on in the winter months? Or where you have the taste of Oshkosh or Lake Winnebago in the summer months? Or you can broadcast football games or do chili cook-offs or barbecues. But the key thing is you can have a plaza, but you need to program it. This is the #1 thing. So this is Rapid City, South Dakota. That was a 60-space parking lot. I'm going to show you that. So here's what you know. If you wanted to work for your downtown, you need people downtown 250 days a year. You can't do that on like 12 farmers markets and events. You need activity, not events. You need activity downtown 250 days a year. See, when you do, so you do a farmer's market, it'll last like, what, 3, 4 months? 3 or 4 months. So let's say 4 months. 4 times 4 is, so we have 16, 17 weeks of farmers market. So there's one event. Do you have any other events downtown? Yeah, First Fridays. How many First Fridays are there? 12? One every month? Okay, so you do them year round. A lot of times they don't do it every month. So, okay, so we're up to 12, so now 17, 27, 28, 29. And then you probably do some other events downtown. Let's say another 10, we're up to 39 days. That's not enough to sustain any retail shop. You need 250 days for that activity. And I'm going to explain how you do that without creating a massive number of events. There you go. Bringing people downtown, put customers in front of their stores. You know what? When we started building malls, Edina, Minnesota was the first suburban mall built in 1956. When people moved to the suburbs, the retail moved back. Now people are moving back closer to downtowns and retail is back downtown. But we got to get people there on a consistent basis. So, not to compete with your retailers. So I always say, if you can get 1% of the population downtown on any given night, concentrate Friday, Saturday for a year, then add Thursday, then add all these other days, and then add Tuesday, it will work. And we're talking about activities. So, let me give you an example. First of all, this is in Waterloo, Ontario. That's kind of a mall back there, Shoppers Drug Mart, a bank there. See this parking space? They said, let's get rid of that parking and put a plaza there. And of course the locals are like, you get rid of the parking, you're going to kill my business. If you get rid of any parking for a plaza, and some business tells you that, here's what you say. Are you telling me your business isn't worth walking 2 blocks for? Let me give you another statistic. The average shopper at Walmart parks 320 feet away from the front door. Average. That means half of them are walking more than 320 feet. But they have no reason walking all the way to the front door, and then they walk all the way to the back of Walmart to buy Blu-ray or DVD. They just walk 2 blocks. We went and surveyed 100 places that gave up parking and did not remake the parking. They gave up parking for a plaza, and all 100 people screamed about losing the parking, and in all 100 cases afterwards, it was the best thing we ever did, because it was worth the walk. So, before, after. Now, so they got some vendor booths there, they've got some people sitting over there. I mean, there's one, there it is. Here they have a concert, they put a portable stage up there. I mean, this is it at night, it's lit up, and it's a place people can hang out. Sometimes they do music at night. During the summer months, they have a local yoga instructor come out and do it, like they'll do yoga and Zumba and Tai Chi, like on a Monday, a Wednesday, and a Friday, and it's free. And the yoga instructor actually gets a lot of business by offering these free classes during the summer months. And then in the winter, they can clear that out and they have a portable ice rink. Now, pretty cool. That ice rink runs 120 days of the year. There's half 2 days right there. So this is Rapid City, South Dakota, Main Street Square. That was a 60-space parking lot. There it is before. That was a Sears building. It was empty. There were creatures living in it, raccoons and pigeons primarily. I told them, get rid of the 65-space parking lot and tear down the Sears building and do a 2-acre. That 65 space is about an acre. I said, get rid of it and the Sears building, there's nothing in it, and build a 2-acre plaza. I get a call. A guy named Ray Hillebrand who owns some retail downtown. He goes, Roger, I like your plaza idea, but we're not tearing down that Sears building because I just bought it. And I gave the city $2 million to build a new plaza next to my new building. He now commands the highest per square foot rent of any city, of any retailer in Rapid City. Rapid City, by the way, is population 80,000. Okay? So there it is before. There it is before. Now, there's a parking lot back there. And I said, could you build a 3rd story in the parking lot? And they said, we could. And they did. But that 3rd story was not to make up for this parking. It's because on the 1st floor, all that parking went away, because that's where they park a Zamboni, that's where they have visitor information, that's where they have public restrooms, and that's where they have some retail. So this is before, that's after, on a Sunday morning at 10 a.m. All of a sudden, car clubs start coming, quilt guilds start coming, everyone to host their events in downtown Rapid City. Even for you, you've been the event city. I'm going, where are all the events? In their case, they invite people to host their events in their downtown. They don't even produce the events. So there's Main Street Square. I mean, there it is. See the fence? They have a beer garden right there. See this right here? Lights up at night. There's the Sears building. Look at that. It's all full of restaurants and retail shops. So these car clubs started coming in. I mean, and they said, well, we'll close off a couple of streets, but we have a place to put the entertainment right on Main Street Square, and then we'll close it off. All of a sudden, it started working. They have a splash pad. That splash pad, you can shut off, or you can go. The splash pad is there 120 days a year. So there's 120 days a year right there with splash pad and just activities. There it is. Okay, you see the stage on the far left. That's it in the summer. That's it in the winter. Think about this. Ice rink, 120 days a year. Splash pad, 120. There's 240 for 250 days. It's activity, not events. And so, by the way, that is slightly bigger than Rockefeller Center. That's 8,000 square feet. They make $130,000 a year renting ice skates, and they have to dole them out because it gets too busy. I mean, so it's fantastic what they have done. As a matter, and then at 9 o'clock at night, the fountains go to a higher pressure, and it's got music and lights and everything. I mean, it just is insane. On Monday nights, they do movies on the square. The average attendance is 3,500. Somebody posted this picture on social media and said, I grew up in Rapid City. It was never as cool as it is now. Within 24 months of them building a plaza, the average age of a person buying a home dropped 12 years. Young families are coming back. Now, I mean, this is happening everywhere. By the way, they have 5 people full-time just running that square. It is busy 300 days of the year. Only public events. It can never be rented for a private event. This is for the people and it's always free. If you want to buy, and so it costs them $500,000 a year to run. Before you freak out, here's where the money comes from. The city owns it and pays Destination Rapid City $50,000 a year to run this. They make $50,000 a year on the Business Improvement District. That's $100,000. They make $130,000 a year just renting ice skates, so now we're at $230,000. They make $100,000 a year just on beer garden sales. They make $120,000 a year on sponsorships, and then they make some money, like $50,000 a year, getting 10% of vendors that come in there on the honor system. So 10% of their sales comes back to Main Street Square. Pays for itself. And it changed everything. This is happening everywhere. You don't have to go far. Go down to Valpo. Check it out. I mean, this is Indian Creek Plaza in Caldwell, Idaho, down to 50,000. That's a rendering. It's now open. It actually has an ice ribbon. They make $300,000 a year renting ice skates. I mean, this is, up in Edmonton, Alberta. This is sweeping the nation. This is Energy Plaza in Topeka, Kansas, which opened right in the middle of COVID. And now they're going to do a re-grand opening this year. I mean, all of these are parking lots. This is going to be in Michigan City, Indiana. And in their case, they actually tore down this building, this building, this building. They're going to close off the street, and they're going to make a plaza that's this size. I mean, that's going to be really, really cool what they're doing. And this isn't built yet. But cities everywhere, what you need is the place for us to hang out. And by the way, the peak hours for your plaza are 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. It's after work and on weekends, after school. It's where people come to hang out downtown. And they should be monetized, whether it's food trucks. whether you have buildings on both sides where you can open it up. But you know what? Is it Opera House Square? You have that. I never once saw anybody laying out on that grass. You can't put chairs on it. You're number one, Steve. But can you imagine if you create some steps up to it? And maybe it just need handicap access. People can get up to it because it's kind of an upper level. Keep all the street trees that ring it and turn that into a plaza. And you can put, those big chess sets you see with chess pieces 2 feet, 3 feet high? You can buy those for $700. You can have banks sponsor it. You can have organizations sponsor these. You can have foosball tables, ping pong tables, all kinds of things there. Activities. And when you do that, then people are going to hang out there. And when they hang out there, retailers will come back. Wherever people are hanging out, retailers will be there. And they will be open later because that's when the people are there. So, I'm almost done. I want to talk about quality of life. Because we looked at your schools, we looked at your medical facilities, and I think the quality of life you have here is just flat out amazing. This is one thing that's really important. For the first time in American history, jobs are going where the talent is or where the talent wants to be. You haven't. You've got it in spades. One thing with spades, one thing you have to understand is boomers have their kids in their 20s. Millennials and Gen Xers are having their kids in their late 30s, early 40s. Fathers are spending twice as much time with their kids. So you're about to see, by the way, the millennial generation is bigger than the boomer generation, biggest generation in U.S. history. They're now getting into their 30s, late 30s, and they're going to be the next big wave. And you have a family-centric destination. I mean, welcome to community development is now leading tourism development and economic development. Welcome to the age of placemaking. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to give you this, and then all these publications that you see coming up here ask millennials, younger Gen Xers, millennials, and even Generation Z, which are now just going into college, ask them, what do they want? What do they want when they grow up? What do they want? And here is creating a major shift. And here's one I already told you. Having kids in their late 30s, early 40s changes everything. So there you go. Here's what they want in order of priority. This is what they said. Number one thing they want is safety, particularly for kids. I think you got that. Do you agree? I think you have a pretty safe community. I mean, everything I saw. They want a good educational system and child care. I looked up, your schools are rated pretty well. You think? I mean, and I think you've got that one. That's number two. Number three is they want a sense of belonging. They want an engaged community. And that language, that's downtown, that's really important. I think, I always say give your millennials a seat at the table. We want some cultural depth. That's where downtowns come in. And that can be street music. It doesn't always have to be at the Opera House. I think it's all what the brew companies and everything are doing with their entertainment. They want life after 6 o'clock. That one there, you're lacking a little bit. They want top-notch recreation. I can't even imagine a better place with recreation than what you have. I mean, and it's really 12 months of the year here. And that includes all your sports field. I didn't even show you pictures we took of all those out at the county and here in town. And then number 7 was health, particularly for kids. Got that? And then number 8 was transportation. We just want bike lanes. I didn't see a single bike rack anywhere downtown. Not one. But that'd be easy to fix. We want affordability. We don't want cheesy. We want affordable, but we want to be relatively good quality. Starter homes, move-ups, nice neighborhoods, which we saw here. And then, look at this. Last other thing. We are moving from the job migration to amenity migration. Here's what when you do that very best of Oshkosh brochure, people are going to want to live here. That's not just for tourism. Tourism is the front door. Is there anything that shows quality of life better than tourism? No. And so you do that very best of, you do your farm-to-table trail and show us what you got out in the country. You do your libations loop for the adults so we have some fun. You do the history trail. I mean, and by the way, everywhere I went around here, we're hiring. After COVID, people sat at home for a year, or for 6 months, or 3 months. They worked at home or they sat at home. They're having a hard time getting back to work. And so everywhere I went, I mean, you have to understand, the focus of elected officials is quality of life. Everything I told you today is about quality of life. Tourism is just a beneficiary of quality of life now. And so I think it's awesome that tourism brought me here. Yet what I'm telling you is we need quality of life because that will bring us visitors. So your mission is to become the most desirable place to live in America or in Wisconsin or in Winnebago County for that matter. And so what you have here is flat out amazing. I wish I could say that everywhere, but I can't. When I do best ofs, I usually have like 6, not 30. I mean, when you just, I didn't even touch on the parks. They're just amazing. I'm just to see people down there fishing and I mean, just having a good time. You know, and so in closing, I would love to see you, a couple of things. There you go, Amy. I would love to see you add right there on that wall one of those. That would have your best of, your trails, you know, your guide in there. This was in North Platte, Nebraska, but I think you got to get your visitor information out there. And we had a hard time finding. We didn't get a chance to go to the one over in the outlet center. But this one here would be good if that was working 24/7. You know, if you're looking for a sign to drink, this is it. I thought that was pretty funny. I collect signs in downtown, so this will be seen in workshops all over now. I won't say, by the way, I saw this in downtown Oshkosh. It was the main reason to go there. No, I won't do that. And then, you know, in potpourri, I mean, I figured if you don't do the event brand or become a festival city, you could be the roundabout capital of the world. And there's nothing like going through 4 roundabouts in 2 blocks. I mean, after a couple of days here, our deal was how can we avoid the roundabouts? I mean, you drive away 10 miles out in the country, you got more roundabouts. So anyway, they just drive me nuts. You know, the outlet center, you know, I mean, I love the fact that you're promoting that there. You know, I feel bad for them. I don't know what the future is, but guess what? Color. Look, you guys, color. You get color downtown too, you know. So, you know, that's going to be a tough one. I did see this. Are their offices really there? They're not? Okay. That's the only thing I saw other than at the outlet mall was that. I just went, oh. And that just like, wow. My first question is, are they still in business? Because that little sign there is a reflection on them as a brand. And it doesn't look very good. I'm just shocked that there isn't like a flagship store downtown. You know, we did see that at University of Wisconsin. Go Russell Wilson. I did my internship for the Seahawks the first season in the NFL. So I've always had this thing with the Seahawks and the Packers, you know. There always seems to be some connection to Wisconsin, whether it was Mike Holmgren or whoever, you know. But anyway, by the way, beautiful homes everywhere. I mean, and, you know, I've seen them in Neenah along the water there, you know, along the Winnebago and seen them other way. But you also have just beautiful, beautiful homes everywhere. I mean, just everything we saw, even the train bridge, I thought was really a cool, iconic thing. We didn't get a chance to go in, but we did see the Morgan House, and so we represent the Morgan House, another beautiful place. This building right here, you should call Art Space. It says it's available. Art Space is based out of Minneapolis. They buy, working with the public sector, they buy these kinds of buildings that they turn into artist live workspace. I thought, wow, because you have some amazing buildings that I certainly don't want you to lose. You know, this one here, I don't know what, it is empty, right? And I'm not sure what will happen with that, but I thought, man, there's got to be something we can do with that. Sometimes revitalization means taking it out and putting a plaza there or something else. You know, so sometimes that happens. I thought this, like the housing right here, it's just beautiful. You know, glad to see this, Rock the Block, Oshkosh Neighborhood Revitalization. I thought that was cool. Sign needs some fixing up there. Yeah, it's, and then the library was phenomenal. Think about this. Think about where you are, and what you have. I thought that was amazing. It's just beautiful. So we saw all kinds of other things I didn't share with you, like Uline Marsh. And we worked with this Uline up in Manitowoc Waters, where she's from, and they invest a lot into Wisconsin. So I thought that was really well done. I didn't put as a best up because I couldn't really figure out where you park, where you go. It wasn't very well defined. And so the bottom line is, with what you have to offer here, there are tons of jobs. We counted signs like this all over. When you do the things that I mentioned here, it's like 46 of them, you will be the place to live. And when you're the place to live, you're also going to be the place to visit. And so what I told you today about marketing and things, we'll do that. That'll help you fill these jobs. Because I think what you have here is amazing. And with that, where do you go from here? I hope we're going to meet with a smaller group on Friday and turn these suggestions into recommendations. Which ones of these? And by the way, you may be working on some of these. We just didn't know it. And if you are working on something, say, Roger, you just validated our efforts. And so I would love to say a destination in Oshkosh would be Chamber of Commerce, downtown, tourism, economic development, the city, historical society. If you have local foundations, that's that. It's not another nonprofit. It's a group of people getting on the same page, pulling in the same direction. Because this, what I gave you, is not just about tourism. And so go through these, and then you can turn them into recommendations. And then it's about making something happen. Today was a conversation start. Friday we're going to develop a plan, and it's an action plan. I do not believe in strategic plans. I believe in action plans. Give us a to-do list, let's go. And we're in the age of cut to the chase. I call it the cut to the chase economy. Give us the list and let's go. And so these people do not just happen. They're here. You've got them here. I think it's amazing. I love that. That whole Oshkosh. I just think it's amazing. So with that, I'm done. So. Questions? Okay? If you didn't like anything, I'm not going to tell you where we're at out there at the Osh Vegas Homes major destination resort. but I really want to thank you for coming out this morning. It's so great to see people in person, and it's so great to see all of you here. What you have here really is amazing, and I wish I could say that everywhere we've been. I get to say that like 1 in every 50 places, which is not very many. And what's really amazing, I thought, how are you going to out-compete Appleton, Neenah, all the money that they invest up there, and, with their performing arts center, their new convention center, and all that. And I think, man, you're right on par with them. And I felt like you were more family-centric than even Appleton. Appleton's starting to be a little bit, boy, my poor friend Sam Seidel up there is going to be here. But they're very corporate, seems like. You know what I mean? They're downtown. And I love Appleton, so don't get me wrong. But you just seem to be more, like, if you want fine dining, go to Appleton, because here it's more casual, it's more laid back. And I actually like that. I don't think everything has to be. I love the fact that Amy in here did all these things you can do for under $10. And I think, is that in the new one too? Yeah, how much fun can you have for $10 or less? I think those are cool things, and I think that really makes you a fantastic destination for anybody raising families. And by the way, think about this. Us boomers that now have grandkids have a mental thing, that is, we may not have been there for our kids like we should have been, but by God, we're going to be there for our grandkids. The first day of T-ball, the first day of tap dance, right? Am I right? Right? And so you're going to see huge multi-generational tourism, and it's just starting. So for family reunions and all those things that are going to happen in 2021, I cannot think of a better place than Oshkosh, Wisconsin. And with that, thank you so much for coming out this morning. Thank you very much. Let's read it up.